So you guys have tried, like you said, you got into the whole thing. You like produced a couple episodes with your podcast and stuff like that. How's that been so far?
We've done it 2 separate times in both like office spaces. So originally we just had kind of, rent a small office space on Fairview by Bronco Motors. It was not nice, nothing cool. Shared bathroom with like 10 other suites.
Perfect.
Had a microwave.
Okay.
That's all we got.
Nice.
And we recorded in there and did several episodes, and it was pretty cool. I wanted to start doing it. I always wanted to do one. I love the process of having conversations with people, and I think there's so much to be learned. Obviously, we can learn a lot from books online, e-classes, whatever it might be, but the insights that you get from having like real life conversations with people in person, not over text,
right,
is invaluable, I feel like. And so we did them there for a little bit, and then we tried to do them when we moved to our new headquarters again, and we just kind of lost the bandwidth to produce them. But it's something that I want to do, want to get back to, would love to get started again. We're just in a place right now where we're trying to be extremely streamlined and focused on like launches only.
Right. What kind of experience did you get as you guys were launching some of those? Did you get the kind of things that you were initially like going for out of it, as far as like people that you wanted to talk to or ideas you wanted to explore, or how did that piece go?
I think the part that was probably the worst growing pain out of the whole thing, or the part that was probably the most off about it, was just myself, like getting used to listening to myself and like getting better at just like having a conversation with people. I'm not a conversationalist. I'm not great at it. Never was good at speaking. I hated speech. I wasn't good in school. Really didn't like to be in class. I've struggled with kind of like public forums.
Interesting.
And so obviously sitting down in front of a camera with a microphone with lights and having a big, deep conversation with people just wasn't really in the cards for me ever. So honestly, it was getting used to hearing myself, thinking about what I could do differently, and getting more into like trying to evoke emotion, trying to have a conversation with people versus just, interviewing them. Right. Like an interview, you don't want your pod to sound like an interview. That's like one of the worst things that can happen. And it gets hard too, because if you don't know how, and you're not confident enough then to talk with what you want to talk about, you can get into that where you're just like, all right, number 7 is
just check a box.
And ask the next thing. And it's just
brutal.
And it's hard. And so I think that was the biggest part for me, is getting from interviewing people to having conversations with people on an outline that would make sense, that would sound good, that could be. So I think that was probably the hardest part for us. And then honestly, finding people and getting it all coordinated and all that is just,
it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
What were
all the things?
What were the things that you started to like notice about yourself, or some of the pieces that you had to like grow on pretty quick when you were trying to become better at conversating?
Well, I still hate how I sound, like my actual voice. I despise it.
Did you ever do headphones where you can hear it like as you're talking?
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. But it's just one of those things that your insecurities about it are the biggest ones, the biggest worry in the whole issue of it. Like, people don't care what your voice sounds like.
Yeah.
You have to sound so like Tweety Birdish or something strange for people to really be like, damn, he sounds like. But even then, like, that's probably a comment you want, because maybe someone else is going to laugh at it, and then maybe you get some clicks. Like,
and it's very recognizable too.
Right.
Yeah.
So if somebody compares you to something else, like, post the meme with that thing. Like,
right.
You're damn right I sound like, so the insecurities about it, but that's probably just goes back to everything. Like I was telling you before you started, I'm the hardest on myself. It's not anybody else. It's just me. So I think just the voice, actually hearing myself, was probably the hardest part.
Interesting. Yeah,
Do you like it? I
do I like hearing myself? Absolutely not. No. It's
I don't feel like anyone really does.
No, I think anybody who's heard themselves like leave a voicemail for somebody or anything like that, it's like, please tell me that's not what I sound like.
I don't leave voicemails. Yeah, I don't leave voicemails when I call anybody.
One of the things that really was an adjustment for me is when I started to get real world feedback from people I hadn't talked to about shit that I talked about on the podcast. Like, I had one of my buddies who lives in Sheridan. He's like, we get a chance to talk to each other a couple times a year, and we always drop in super deep when we get to, but we've got long periods. So there's really no reason for him to know what's going on. And I forget that I have this like body of work out there of like hours of shit that I've talked about. And he was in town for a jiu-jitsu belt test, and we got lunch afterwards, and he sits down and he goes, "So bro, how's therapy been?" And I was like, I haven't seen you in 6 months, bro. How the fuck do you know? He's like, oh, I listen to your podcast. Yeah. And like those moments for me, like it's such a weird reminder sometimes because I kind of forget. I like record the podcast and then I kind of forget what we talked about. But that's been one of the biggest adjustments is just remembering that like if somebody wants to go listen to 80 hours of you just yapping about shit, they can.
There is. It's there.
For sure.
It is interesting to think about yourself basically getting like biographied by your, would that be autobiographying yourself?
Kind of, yeah.
In a weird kind of transcript form.
Yeah.
But it's visual for people to view at any point.
For sure. So you mentioned that like self-critic piece that came out in the podcast. We were talking before we were on camera. How does that, with all of the things you've got going on right now, where did that self-critic piece come from? And speak a little bit about that for the people who might see you and be like, bro, you've got these successful businesses, you're in shape, you've got like all of this stuff going on, you've got a great community. Where does that piece come from?
Dude, probably therapy would be the answer right there.
Yeah.
No. Or need to go to more therapy.
Me too.
But I don't know where the massive insecurities in that want. It's something I've always tried to work through, whether it's external pressures from family and expectations, but I really haven't had the expectations placed on me by my family in so long. They expect me to be happy and they want me to succeed and they want to see me flourish. I don't feel like we have conversations where I feel tons of pressure. I feel like all the pressure I apply is just simply on myself, but it's the pressure I've always liked to place on myself. I wanted to take the last shot in basketball. I want to win the game. I wanted to do that, but I also, in an odd, weird personality thing, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, I don't want any credit after it's over. I just want the responsibility to take it.
Wow.
I feel like I can, but after, like, you guys can all enjoy it. Like I always say, like, I want to create spaces and things that people can enjoy and then like Gatsby it and we'll just watch and be like, that's cool as shit. Like I'm gonna go work on something else now.
Interesting.
But I don't care to like experience it.
What is it an uncomfortable feeling or what's that feeling like when somebody tries to like put that on you and be like, no, dude, you're gonna experience this one.
Yeah. It's so cool. I don't know. I think it's the want for more and it's the want that, well, like, now it's done, right?
Yeah, it's like we made the thing.
Yeah, like
happening.
you've seen, it's that viral interview of Kobe. I absolutely love Kobe. Old Kobe, when Kobe was still pissed off all the time, was great. Yeah. I love that version of Kobe. But he has that one interview. I think they're up like 3-1 or something, and they're like, "Are you excited?" He's like, "No, job's not finished." And then they ask him after, and they're like, "Is job finished?" He's like, "Yeah, but we still got next year."
The work is never done.
Yeah, and so it's just like I feel like when I've won, I've just lost because I just got something else I got to do in a way.
For sure.
It's weird because I like that. Like I like putting myself in those just deep situations where you're underwater and you have to figure it out and you just keep fucking dooring it and swimming.
Yeah, I think that's something that's been popping up a ton for me in conversation lately. Though is the like the letdown from those big moments.
They're not cool.
Yeah, I mean, but what I love about the disposition that it sounds like you have though is it's like you almost prefer, like you've got this like standard setting that's just baked into you where it's like it actually is about the journey.
Yeah,
like you don't have to do the thing where it's like, yeah, no, I'm enjoying the journey, but you're actually just
figuring it out is the cool part. Like it's sucking, and you're like, that happens, and you're like, cool, let's. Now we figured that out. There's like 19 other things I need to figure out. So it's just, I don't know. It's, if there's not one thing, there's something else I feel like I can improve upon, whether it's business, personal, or whatever. And so I just never feel like I'm done. And so I don't get settled too much on accomplishing any one particular thing.
Do you think that mentality and that drive came from sports and like the dedication that you had to it when you were younger?
Yeah, I think my dad wasn't around a shit ton growing up, and not in like a negative sense. Like he was like boozed up down the street. He traveled a ton for work. He worked in semiconductor tech stuff. And so he spent a ton of time in Asia. That's just the way that industry goes.
Yeah.
Don't want to be a part of it. So, I think the whole of him not at a lot of games, not at a lot of events, not at stuff that you do with your dad a lot. We did spend a lot of time together. We did do a lot of things together, and there was a lot of times that we bonded. But when it came to like performances and things like that, I think because I didn't have those pregame talks with him and those expectations about you're going to play hard and stuff like that, I just put these massive kind of limits on myself for what I thought I could accomplish. Right.
Interesting.
And so I just kind of was like, there was this kind of, cat and mouse game or a devil angel thing of like, you won't be able to do it, but you have to do it. Like you won't be good enough, but you're going to be the best.
It's like, you're going to hit the last shot, but you're not going to celebrate.
Yeah. But you could never play.
Interesting.
And so I just kind of had to like self-sabotage, but also like pump myself up because I didn't have someone kind of giving me that, how are you supposed to do this mentality type of thing. And that's the way I came up with to do it. And highly don't recommend it. Not healthy. Definitely still have issues from it. So
for sure.
But it's, I think, just the way that I kind of taught myself to to never be good enough, but to always try to be the best.
Were there ever moments where you had kind of like two existing beliefs at the same time, where you believed that you weren't good enough, but you believed that you could do the thing? Like, like I'm not good enough to be all state, but I am good enough to like hit every game winning shot that's ever given to me, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's that within like individualized situations every time. Like I'd micromanage it or microanalyze it down to like, I shouldn't even be at practice right now. Like I don't deserve to be like a basketball player, like because whatever it might.
But it's like, give me the ball.
But give me the ball because there's no one that can stop me.
Interesting.
And it's so unhealthy. And it's what I've done to myself. That's why I struggle with golf. That's why I make myself golf, is because I do this to myself on the golf course. And obviously you've golfed and we talked about that. Not good for the golf game.
Right.
Because I'm out there like in the middle of the backswing, like, you shouldn't hit this shot. Still going to try.
You should just get back in the cart.
Yeah,
dude.
just get back in the cart, bro. Go home. So it's just this, I don't know where it came from, but honestly, I think it's just from not exactly having the right conversations with people as an adolescent about how we handle these adversity situations. And I think a lot of guys didn't have those conversations with their fathers. Mm-hmm. And so we made up our own ideas of what we were supposed to do. And mine was to make it as difficult as possible, but also tell yourself you're the best that you could possibly be.
Yeah. I think that what's tricky about some of those things too is that particular one makes it really easy to have to get tangible results.
Yeah.
Like if you tend to have something like that, chances are you're probably going to work really hard. You're probably going to have you've got this complex where you have to constantly prove the right things to yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're almost predisposed to accomplish a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious for you if that disposition that you have has served you when it comes to tangible things like business success or athletic success, even if it's been a complicated relationship mentally.
I think it's been one of the reasons I've been great, but it's also been one of the reasons I've had such hard relationships with people, with friends, with a previous marriage, with relationships of any sort, because I am difficult to work with because I am unhappy, but I'm also extremely excited about what we're working on and very positive about what we could be capable of, but also very analytical of what we're not doing correctly. And so it's this, I do the same thing to the employees. And so, some of them, the ones that I work with the closest, know how to handle the stuff, the way that I communicate and things like that. And I've done a lot better over the last 2 years of learning how to communicate to people better and express my needs and wants and wishes better. But the self-sabotage with myself, I sometimes still struggle to not emulate into other people and just in the workplace, because it just naturally kind of happens.
Right. One of the things that's surprising to me, after watching some of the podcasts that you've been on and stuff like that, and hearing about how Tattooed and Successful started, is I would imagine that thing that you've got would almost lend itself to being a perfectionist also, wanting something to be perfect. But one of my favorite stories that I've heard is about you and your buddy having pink sticky notes all over the place, getting ready to launch TS. And I'm curious, how are you able to say, or how are you able to have the thing that you have where it's I'm going to succeed, I'm going to have a lot of negative self-talk, but I'm going to do the thing. How can you have that and at the same time still start something when it's not perfect yet?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the inner want to be the best, right? It's that want to accomplish more. It's that want to prove people. It's that want to show that you're capable of it. It's that want to, overcome any obstacle or anything that anybody's ever said about you. I was the kid that I played terrible this one game in high school, and they wrote just an article about how bad I played.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I was pretty good, and so I played really bad, like really, really bad. And that thing I had in my bag until I graduated college.
Wow.
An article from my junior year of high school.
Interesting.
Just like, hey, if you ever get too high, you fucking sucked.
Yeah.
Right. FYI.
Right next to your math homework is a reminder.
Yeah. And so I always just kind of had that in me of just wanting to do good, wanting to do great, wanting to be the best I could possibly be. And so I think no matter whether it was perfect or whether it was right, I just wanted to do it and keep doing it until it felt right. Just keep working through the processes over and over and over again and perfecting them and getting better at them. And, you know, obviously I've said before, like we shelved TS for a little bit. And that was a lot due to like personal things more than my want to keep going on things. It was more due to like just life kind of happened.
Right.
But that want to always kind of do good never went away. And so it got applied elsewhere, and then it eventually made its way back to TS.
So once you, you know, we've talked a lot about the lens through sports, where that was like, it seems like it was a really good channel to kind of like direct that, because you can put in all the work when you're in the middle of a sports career. Yeah. But once that got taken off the table and you got done with your college basketball career and some of those things started to shift, where did that energy start to get like redispersed to?
The gym for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah. I think anybody that plays sports, even in high school, people struggle with the identity after the sport's gone. They make it out to be like it's only pros, but if you didn't play, you don't understand that a lot of people that is who they are. And it's not because out of ego or out of some weird thing. It's because of how much they care about the game. And everybody talks about it's for the love of the game. Like, it's a true love. Like, people will become just enthralled with the sport, and it changes people's lives. It's the reason you have some of the best relationships with people. It's the boys. Like,
it takes you to different places that you never thought you'd live.
Yeah,
or like all these,
be, get to see, you know, the bus rides, just all the stuff that comes with it. People don't understand why when that's gone, you're like, holy shit. Like, you know, every single year I was guaranteed 11 to 14 friends.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Guaranteed. And like, do you get along with every teammate really, really well? No, but for the most part, you're pretty good with like 95% of them all the time, right?
Right.
So it's like you just go from like easily having friends all the time to then getting into the world and having no one to talk to, and the boys slowly start to fade away, and you're left with this just like lonely thing. And especially as men, as we've taught to be okay alone, it's just this weird kind of identity crisis. You got no one to talk to about it. The boys are at work because we all had to get jobs. Right. Like, it's just, and if they are still hooping, they're probably in another country, so on a complete opposite time zone, so you're probably not talking to them. And so it's just a weird thing, and people don't understand unless you played it. But I think the hardest part coming out of those is just finding anything you can attach that energy that you talk about to. You know, it doesn't matter particularly what it is, just try to hang your hat on anything.
Right.
I thoroughly enjoyed doing landscaping. I was so proud of the fucking laying down stripes, bro. I take pictures along. Look at this shit.
You can putt on this shit.
Yeah, like, I was so proud of it. Edging up stuff. Oof, that looked nice. People walk through, I get so mad. It's like, no, that looks so good. I knew exactly how many lawns we would do. There was the boss left. I took over the route. He sent me the directions, and I was like, dude, you're good. I remember how the whole route. He was like, what? I was like, dude, locked in. We're good.
Dang.
Like, just, that's how I was about everything. That's how I was at I worked at UPS, did preload. That's how I was there. Like, I made sure the lay always perfect. Like, nothing was ever out of order. You'd look at people's other belts, stuff would be just like all messed up. Mine just dialed. It's just, I don't care what I was doing. I was going to try really hard at it and see how good I could make it.
It sounds like there's like almost a level of personal pride that like something that you're going to like sign your name on has to be like live up to some kind of standard.
Well, there's also just the enjoyment about when you try. It's a lot fucking cooler than when you don't.
Dude, that is one of the biggest misconceptions about school and like pop culture.
Well,
like,
I can't say
it's cool to like sit back and
not try. That, but that's a whole other conversation.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's like, I don't know. I think one of the things where I think for a little while it's perceived that it was cool to like not try very hard, but be good at something.
Yeah.
And I think that there is I think that some of the Goggin stuff and some of the Hermosi stuff, like
Yeah.
they're kind of a couple years ago, there was a wave where it became cool to try hard again.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that bothered
Also
me
is
the
like-
most.
I don't mind telling people how badly I've failed. Like I've had tons of failed relationships, personally, professionally. There's tons of things I haven't handled well. That's why I feel like I can offer advice.
Right.
I don't offer advice because I've been massively successful and had no hiccups along the way. I offer advice because I fucked up a bunch of shit really bad. And so I think I can tell you how to not fuck it up, which is probably just as good as telling you how to do it correctly in some instances.
Yeah, it's just like, just don't hit that speed bump when you're going 90 miles an hour.
Don't do that one. That's not a good one.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just stuff like that feels like you can add value to situations as well.
Yeah, for sure. So once you said you like bounced to landscaping, to UPS,
Yeah.
some different things.
Random
one
jobs.
of my favorite parts of your kind of journey was your time at MusclePharm.
Yeah.
And I've got to know, it does not seem like attention to detail and like being super on top of it really fit with the culture as you were when
It
you were there.
was
At that
so
time.
weird working there, to be honest. That industry in a whole, just the supplement industry or the fitness industry in a whole is kind of weird. But yeah, watching the mismanagement of funds get so bad to the point that like the SEC is investigating. So I was a part of it when the SEC like almost shut us down in a way. Like our board removed our CEO. He got massive SEC fines. Our stock went from like $12 to $2 in like a day.
Rough day at the office.
It was really awkward.
I bet.
Yeah. So just watching kind of like what culture led us to that kind of spot was something that was just wild. And telling people about the story, it's just, there was weird shit. It just shit that you would never expect. Coming in on Mondays and there being girls' clothes still in the execs' offices and paraphernalia everywhere, having way too much fun because we had UFC fights that weekend or whatever. It was wild.
So was the culture kind of was it like a work hard, play hard thing, or was it missing the work hard part?
It was work hard for the few and party for the many. Like there was a group of people that were friends with upper level that were they used to go like lunch and just never come back. They'd just be and then it'd be like 4, they'd be like, when you're off, come see us at this spot. And I'm like, you guys haven't come back. Like I go lean out, look where all their offices are. I'm like, it was weird, getting there. So I was inside sales. I had East Coast and Midwest, and I was in Denver.
Okay.
Obviously, getting there at 9 means I'm getting there at 11, and I got an hour till I go to lunch. So that didn't work. So I'd get there super early. So they gave me the alarm code and would let me in.
Okay.
And just being at a company doing millions of dollars in sales across the world and no one being there was just so odd to me. And I'd be there from 6:45, 7 until like 8:30 before people would roll in and stuff. And it was just like, what the fuck is going on? How are we this successful? How are we selling this much product across the world? Not just in America, but across the world, and no one's here. It was wild. And just what we would spend our money on, because I'd look at after they do the quarterly call that we weren't allowed to know the information on or whatever, I would just go onto Yahoo Finance and just read our stats, how we're doing. And it was just wild to see like what the reports were and us having to share like kind of where finances were with stockholders and just being like, what the fuck is going on?
Interesting.
And then when the SEC investigation came out, it was like, oh, that's crazy. Because we had high level people pulling out cash in Cabo and multiple members, like golf memberships on the card and PJs everywhere. And it was just like, what is
interesting?
Yeah. What is going on? So
did seeing how successful a business like that could be when it was so poorly managed, did that make business or make success seem easier to you? That like, if it can look this bad, but still succeed this big?
I don't know. I don't think I ever thought about it that way.
Didn't ever see it like as a success particularly?
Yeah. No, I definitely saw it as a success. I think I'm pretty sure they're still around. I know that the dude that took it over, moved it to Cali and like made it really like a UFC specific brand. Right. And then I think they're still around, but I thought it was super successful. I thought our products were really, really good too. It was just a wild environment to be a part of. And it was it was so cool. There was so much money flying around. We had so many cool opportunities. The MusclePharm motorhome, the getting to meet CJ2K and Manziel and Kaepernick and all these people, Matt Forte, all these people we were sponsoring was so sick. Tiger Woods was in the building once. Like when we sponsored him for the Masters after he came back from like one of the first injuries, I believe.
Yeah.
It was like 2015, 16.
Okay.
The hype for that, like we were on Tiger's back, like it was a MusclePharm Tiger's golf bag. That was so, like the hype behind that was crazy. We're going to make a whole golf line. Like being a part of those processes of how big those deals get with people of that size, that was pretty cool to witness and be a part of. So there was some massive successes within it. And I think I learned a lot of like sales principles from it, but from the culture and managerial side of it, it was hectic at best.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So how did you transfer from that phase where you had, a couple different things going on, whether it's landscaping, MusclePharm, all of that? What did that journey look like getting into what you're doing today?
Starting my own stuff. Yeah, I started my first company when I was still working for a company. It was just an investment company to help flip spec homes and do some stuff like that, invest in some different things like that. It was cool. That was the first thing I started. It was minorly successful. It definitely gave me the itch to like, running your own shit, having your own business bank account, actually getting like business transactions coming in is cool. It's cool when it doesn't say, Zach on it. It says like your business name. And you're like, damn, yeah, we made some money today.
Yes.
We did that.
As a team, we did this.
Yes. Yeah. And so it's really cool, but it just kind of really led me into spots where I probably worked myself into some situations where I was not the best employee based on the fact that I saw things maybe a little different than they did from how I thought things should be operating. And I probably let those emit into my behaviors too much within the workplace. And I probably wasn't the best person to be in certain different roles that I was a part of, but it didn't take away from like how I wanted to work. I still worked really hard at them, but it definitely led to some of the relationships souring with the places I worked. And then that just led me to having a conversation with a buddy over a workout and starting TNS and that kind of growing from there.
Gotcha. Did you know that you wanted to do something entrepreneurial before you started doing that investment thing, or was that really the spark that like?
No, I did like little inventathons when I was in like second and third grade.
Okay.
All the way like did the science fair, did like all that type of shit.
What were your highlights?
So the first one I invented was literally something super simple and it's now on shit, but like, like the pepper grinder, I like a cap for the bottom, like all of them that used to come that you'd buy at the store, they didn't have a cap for the bottom. So there'd be pepper all over your counter,
Oh, the one that like kind of like pops on there.
Yeah. That pops on the end. So none of them came with that before. So I made that for the end.
Hell yeah.
And I just went to a camera store and found different lens caps until I found one that fit.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then I just shaved down the plastic on it and like put a logo on it.
Just painted over the Sony logo.
But it worked perfectly.
Okay.
Another one was a coaster that was made out of this metal that my dad found that would stay cold for like hours. So it was like a coaster that kept your drink cold.
Interesting. That's a good one.
Available now. Like there's the electronic ones, but they're hot or cold.
Okay.
And then the other one was a dog house that had like bristles on it. So your dog got like brushed when they walked in and out, which is also a thing now.
Crazy.
So all three became a thing.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. But it's kind of in my like family to invent shit. So it's not too surprising that I did shit.
Was it intrinsically motivating for you to invent stuff after watching your family do stuff, or was
it was pretty cool? Like I can specifically remember doing the first one and it was called like the pepper stopper.
Yeah,
because everything has to be corny and an invent thing.
It has to, yeah.
And my grandfather actually came and like saw what were those things called? Like the foam things.
The diorama.
Yeah, like opened up. Yeah, he saw it all and like was
no, that wasn't a diorama. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like the little fold out thing.
Yeah,
you like glue a bunch of shit to it.
Yeah, one of those. He saw that and came to the whole thing, and that was definitely a highlight of like my childhood. But I don't know, got away from inventing and just wanted to get into more of like, I felt like I could always help within like the systems and the people more than building something or coming up with something ingenuitive or something like that.
Right. Did you know that you wanted to be involved on the people side of things? Like, did inventing seem like, or even just like being on the product side of something, did it seem like a lonely game to you?
It is a lonely game.
True.
Inventing stuff, designing stuff, any of that's pretty lonely because you're just staring at it until you hate it a little less enough to show other people.
Right, yeah, for
but
sure.
usually you're like, I fucking don't like this. But I don't know. I've always felt like, regardless of what it was going to be, if I could put enough effort towards it, it could be something that I could build to something, you know?
Yeah, that belief that you can win if you just go hard enough.
Yeah, if I just talk enough shit to myself, I think I can do it.
Yeah, I have burned that fuel for a really long time for sure. It burns hot and heavy, but it works.
Yeah, it does. Like when it's like 9 and you don't want to do it, 9 p.m. and you don't want to do it, or 11, whenever time it is, doesn't matter if it's fucking the middle of the day, honestly. If you don't want to do it and you're just like, you're soft, you should probably do this.
Right. You got me.
Yeah,
Dang
you're
it.
right.
So what about TNS when you and your buddy had the lifting session and like started ideate on it? What made that an idea that you were willing to put that kind of effort behind and like really start doing the dang thing?
Yeah, and still put the effort behind?
Yeah, seriously.
Honestly, I don't know. No, for real, it's probably been the community. The idea, originally we really wanted to build something that we thought we could tell people's stories and give them something they could wear so that they could feel highlighted while telling their stories. And if we were able to capture content where we could show a firefighter, a nurse, a gym owner, whatever, in their best light with tattoos, that we could be a beacon of change, right?
Right.
Very humble of us.
Yeah. we change the whole culture around tattoos.
And it was again one of those kind of like self shit talking things that we both were like, yeah, watch this shit type of thing, and which was really stupid to begin with. So it quickly morphed into like, let's make cool shit for people with tattoos. And then it became, and he quickly got out, my business partner quickly got out of the business, and that was why we shelved it, because he moved to South Carolina from Boise. So obviously some distance issues, and became full-time franchisee owner and then a firefighter and da-da-da-da. So he's
a lot of stuff on his plate.
and he's amazing. We still talk time to time. He's great. But when I took it completely over, it morphed into like, how can I create a group that previously doesn't have kind of like a community?
Right.
Like, where do tattoo people kind of like share stories, etc.? Right? Like there's groups for people that like unicorns, even though they're not real. There's groups for people like,
for sure.
There's a group for everything. So why was there not a whole lot of group for like tattooed culture?
I feel like it was hidden almost, and like there was some biker culture, like some punk
and that was a lot of the
culture,
thing that
like,
we wanted to like get away from and show that there was a different side of tattoos than like prison bike shit. And that in Idaho is still a very, very real thing, that people still view these shops around here as biker shops, and because some of them kind of still randomly are.
Right.
So it quickly became what I wanted to do is try to create a community that I felt like people could become a part of, that were a part of the tattoo culture, and we could use clothes to help empower them and give them, you know, that sense of confidence and coolness and community through apparel.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it like morphed from.
I remember seeing that one of the things that you set out to do was to give people like a sense of identity through their clothes and all that kind of stuff. And so what was that sense of identity that you were looking for, if you had to like describe how you wanted somebody to feel when they put on your clothes for the first time?
Yeah, we want them to feel like powerful, empowered, feel like they're capable, worthy, all the kind of positive emotions that you want to feel. Everybody knows what it looks or what it feels like when you put on something, you look in the mirror and you're like, that looks good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I like how I look today.
Uh-huh.
And so we wanted to be that version, but then also have like some sort of meaning behind it, and have them then also have access to a community that could hopefully provide some sort of value to them.
Got you. So how did you, I mean, I think it's easy to connect the dots about like, you can design clothes that look good, that feel good, that are made out of good things. And like that is just like the product side of it.
Yeah.
It seems like a beast to create a community and create that thing where people fit in. So how did you start to chip away at that and then arrive at a place where you are today, where you've got like tons of people tattooing your logo and coming out to your blog parties and stuff? Like, how has that evolved?
I think it really started with, there's probably like 10 to 12 people, models really, that all started with that core group of people. and them going out into the community after photo shoots and talking about it with people, and us having, Mac and I were talking about today, we used to have photo shoots and we'd have like 8 to 10 models there. They were allowed to bring their significant other if they wanted. I brought drinks and music. Like our photo shoots usually turned it out to us going out after.
It was just like a super fun time.
Yeah, it was a great time. We got a lot of content, and then we usually had a lot of fun. Yeah. Right. And that really grew into like, that basically just became the block party, right? Like essentially, right?
Seriously.
Like getting tattoos, doing photos, having music, getting some drinks. Do you want to go get some food? Just became all this shit we wanted to do with our friends that also happen to have tattoos. We just kept slowly making that bigger. We used to do meet up at bars with anybody we had shot with. Hey, we'll be at this bar from 4 to 6, come swing by. We'd have, 20, 30 people in there all wearing the gear, and then we'd shoot after or shoot before. And so it just became these little like kind of social gatherings, and then all these people then going out into the community and spreading that word, and then getting people from out of state and taking them out and doing the same kind of types of things until we got to the point where we had a facility or a headquarters where we could then host block parties and events and pop-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think one of the cool intrinsic benefits of creating a community of like that you want to be a part of is you start to attract people that you might not know that you wanted to be friends with or stuff like that. So like what kind of benefits did you see as that community started to grow for you personally?
I think that's where a lot of the life lessons and stuff that I've learned the most from over the last probably 2-3 years have just been through different people I've met purely because the brand and moving it to that place and having these events. And, we have Empyre next to it that I own, and we have socials there that we do. And then we have the flash events at TNS. And then together we do the big block party once a year. So between all those different situations and all the conversations you can have with people, and I try to have the conversations with people when I'm at the gym. Like I try not to wear headphones actually when I'm at the gym, because I try to talk to people for the most part. And there's just, again, people are very willing to share their story and to offer insight and to tell you about their problems, which typically give you solutions in my eyes. If someone can, quick little side note, but I've always felt like if somebody can give you their problem, you probably have a solution for it, but it's also probably just instantly taught you something. So if you can get people's walls down enough to tell you what their issues are in their life, you probably learned a shit ton about yourself, or you can apply it to somebody else or work or But it was getting to have all these conversations with people and just pulling little things from it and stuff like that, and just continuing to have those and continuing to have these groups and continuing to invite people in. And now we have High Rocks group. We have this year at Block Party, we're going to have a powerlifting event, a car show, a dance class in the afternoon, food trucks, tattoos. Like it's kind of wild.
So
it's cool. It's fuck. It's cool to think that like we just turned it into our own little thing, and we really don't have the support outside of ourselves. Like none of the other businesses in there are really could be a part of it. It's like a plumbing thing because we're in an industrial like park. Like the doctor's office is closed. Like they're not really a part of it. The vet just moved. The other thing's a Sherwin-Williams store. Like not really a good thing for them. So it's cool to like see that we can create that much attraction just based off of the community that we've built.
That's so cool. One of the things that I've really been fascinated with lately is when something does grow to that size where you've got the kind of community where like a lot of people want to be involved with it. There's often a lot of like business things that happen at the same time. Like with that growth, you've also got like I've seen the like stocking house that you guys have, and you've got like fulfillment where you're shipping shit all over the world, and you've got all of this stuff that like that comes along with all of the fun stuff, right? And so how have you continued to make like your role and the things that you do inside of your company fun, even though there's all of those other like things with accounting and with fulfillment and everything that comes with like having a project that's growing as big as yours is right now?
Time blocking? I don't know. I try to set aside days for different, like the tasks you don't want to do within a business so that they don't, I always try to tell people you can't leave like too many tabs open.
I struggle with that so bad.
I do it, and I'm not saying I'm good at it.
Right.
It's good advice. Remember I said I don't have good advice because I'm good at shit. It's because I'm bad at shit.
Right, yep.
Like it's the other way around. I always thought it would be like that you'd get good at shit and then you offered people advice. It's that you fucking suck.
You just realize what you're bad at,
Yeah. Let me tell you what not to do. But no, it's just trying to get those things, trying to get the roles that I felt like I have a lot of power within and influence and value, and ones that I enjoy doing, trying to get myself into those roles and out of the roles that I'm not good at, I'm not as much a part of, I'm not as good at working with them. So, having admin meetings with the admins and then letting them go do their thing instead of trying to be in the individual meetings to be talking with each individual person, because I'm a little bit too much sometimes. The meeting could get too intense. It's going to take way longer because I'm going to talk about stuff that probably isn't relevant, right? But I think it could make some difference for them. And so it's getting myself out of situations that I think are going to waste time and could cause the other employee to not feel empowered. So I want to make our leaders or our managers feel empowered, that they have the power to change and motivate and do all that stuff, but then get myself out of the roles that aren't particularly the best for me to be within.
Yeah.
So, getting away from packing orders and working with models and talking about photo shoots to fixing the accounting and working with the admin team on how we can generate more membership sales.
Got you. Okay. So I think that most people have heard entrepreneurial stories enough times where it's like the shift of starting something a lot of times is like you're doing everything. You're the designer, you're doing fulfillment, you're all
the reel that's trending right now where like they spin and it introduces like a new person within the department.
Yeah.
I saw this dude that did one and it was just him in different outfits. Yeah. And he was like photographer, right. And then it was like marketing person, and he had like a notepad, and I was like, I feel that. I've been there before.
Let me introduce you to my marketing department. You pick up the phone.
Yeah.
It's but I think that it really is a harder shift a lot of times when you have to do all of those roles. A lot of times it can be hard to give up the baby in different things and admit that like, maybe I shouldn't be involved in X, Y, Z. Yeah. Are you a natural delegator, or was that something that you had to chip away at?
No. If Mac or Avery were here right now, they'd both be like, hell no.
Really?
No, it took a long time. Like I said, like you're not good at this, you're going to be the greatest. You're not good at this means I want to let everybody else do this, but I'm going to be the greatest, so I probably should do it first.
Got you.
Right? And so I wanted to have my hands on everything, but then you have your hands on everything, it's really difficult to empower like other people and them to feel like they could be successful at that too. And then you're doing what other people are doing, then why are you paying them?
True.
And so
bad for culture too.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever have any struggles with that, where you being overbearing made somebody else's job difficult, or made the culture bad or anything like that?
Yeah. Like I said, I've never said that I think I was the best at what we're doing. I just am trying to get better every day at whatever the task is. Right. So I've definitely been too much. I've definitely been not enough. I've been somewhere in the middle. I think that's finding the balance of all of it. And it's different with every relationship within the business too.
Right.
And the weird part that, I don't know, no one ever taught me or told me is like, it's so difficult on measuring the room and the situation each time. Right? Like,
true. Yeah.
What's the tone and temperature of the room when you walk into it before you're about to deliver something? And like read the room before you like drop bombs and stuff like that. So that part for me was hard, as I'm very rarely in a thought process that's about what I'm walking into. It's usually about getting whatever I need to get out to you out immediately, because if I don't, I'm going to forget.
Right.
Whatever it might be. I need to move on to my next task. I have these 36 things I need to get done before the end of the day. I just need to talk to you about this thing.
Right.
And so learning to, walk into these situations and be mindful of people's feelings, what time of day it is, what they could possibly be doing, so that you can get them the information they need, but not shut them down for a period that would then make them counterproductive going forward.
Right.
And no one tells you how to do that. That's purely trial and error.
For sure.
And I'm sure you got, because you got employees, and like, how do they come in and you're like, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
We're gonna tread lightly on this one today.
For sure. Yeah.
I think I got coffee coming for them.
Seriously. It's so tricky too, because it's not only do you have to like read the temperature all the time, but each person also has a different style of communication that like
Yeah,
some people are
language.
like, dude, exactly. Like
It's a love language, bro.
Exactly. So some people need very direct, very short feedback. And other people are like, dude, if you don't ask me how my day is and like how my dog was today, I can't get to the spot with you where,
and the whole idea of, and I can tell you probably have the same thing. I didn't want to have a culture that was just like, you show up and you fucking work, or we don't leave. We don't eat.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly.
fun. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm eating.
Right.
I'm laughing. I'm having a time. I fucked off for an hour this morning. I apologize.
Mm-hmm.
I got super distracted about this new golf thing. I was really excited. So it's like, it just happens. And so reading each people's like love language, investing the amount of time to learn what it is, and then trying to figure out how to communicate with them. And a lot of times it's women, which already is difficult for us as guys. So reading the temperature, reading the tone of how they are, what day of the week is it, how are we feeling, what is their role in the business, is this even pertinent for me to bother them about it right now because they're not having the best day, like where do you find all those conversations, where are those little avenues you wiggle through? It's wild and it's difficult, and I always tell people the hardest part about business is people.
For sure. It's also the most rewarding part too.
Yeah, when people like, unfortunately, like I will not cry, but one of like our favorite people at Empyre, like her last day was today.
Oh man.
She's going and doing her thing. Super happy for her. She just turned 21, but she like grew up with us. We hired her almost 2 years ago now. I think it is 2 years ago now. But
that was right at like the impetus of Empyre,
yeah,
right?
so she came in like right after I had kicked out my business partner and taken it over, and she'd been there, and we'd watched her kind of go from like a kid that was finishing college to like a kid that turned 21 to like she got fucked up at the office Christmas party. Like just like she's like our little baby. And then, today was actually her, like she leaves tomorrow morning. And so it's been this whole sad week of her leaving, but today her actually leaving, and it's not for a bad reason. It's not for any sort of thing. And it was just like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's just hard. And so you do invest all this time, the amount of time she's come in my office, and we've just talked about random life things, and she's just not having a good day. So she's like, can I come talk? I'm like, yeah, of course. There's chairs here.
What a special
But then when they
thing,
leave, it's just like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's like one of your little children pets leaving. You're just like, so I'm just supposed to be fucking cool about this. Okay, cool. I'll just get back to work.
Seriously.
And so we don't want to have these cultures, right, that are get to fucking work, and if your feelings are fucked up, then I don't care.
Yeah.
But then when you have these cultures, it's emotional. It's hard. You have to learn their love language. You got to learn how they talk. You want to know their coffee order is, what foods they like. So when they're having a bad day, you can have these conversations about them. So you have some sort of insight to make them smile, to make them happy. Otherwise, you just have these super ungrateful, grumpy people walking around that are going to feel like they're underpaid because you don't care.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. One of the things that fascinates me is how often people, they shoot for things in business, or they shoot for things in life that are tangible, but they don't know what they want the full picture to look like. They'll be like, I want to have $1 million a year in revenue. But what they don't think about is how they want to get there. Like you can white knuckle your way and get there and have a bunch of people who are pissed off at their job, but they're kind of good at it, and your turnover is super high, but your systems are good. You can still get there. Yeah. But what I love is it sounds like you've really put the thought into like what you want your picture to look like what you want, the kind of environment, the kind of people you want to be there when you show up every day. Yeah. And I think that that's almost a more important goal, because your life is going to be better when you choose like, what is the environment I want to be in? What are the people I want to be around? Yeah. And I'm curious if that for you has been like a version of that goal, is like around the culture that you create.
Like the version of an ultimate goal is around the culture.
Yeah. Like if part of what you set out to create is something that you want to be a part of from a cultural standpoint.
Well, like the Gatsby thing I was explaining to you, like the Gatsby view from me getting to watch everything is not just watching them enjoy the place, but watching them interact with each other in a way that's supportive and the way that we want. Like that's one of the things that people talk about our gym that's different than anywhere they've ever been is people care. People are talking to each other about their lives. People are helping people that they don't know. People are becoming friends with people. And that's not exactly how the gym is much anymore. It's pretty unfriendly place, most gyms. Mm-hmm. It's pretty judgmental place, most gyms. And so we really tried to flip the script on that, but that comes from the culture being different. We couldn't have that in our community if our basis culture was a different way.
Right.
And so it also breeds an environment for more situations that can arise because you know more stuff about each other.
Right.
And so
yeah, exactly. Like just like any friendship or any
right.
Like,
so now there's the negative side of things about, you know, I need you to act professional, but you guys can also be friends. But you guys also need to know when it's time to work, and you can also know when it's time to fuck around, and
for sure,
all those types of stuff. And so there's so many dynamics that go into people and go into stuff. But I think the culture looking a certain way, I don't know exactly if I have like a specific balance of what that looks like, but seeing people enjoy stuff, seeing people happy, seeing people flourishing in their life, watching people get new cars, be able to afford vacations, be able to do that type of stuff. That's the goal for me. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the biggest one.
What are, I mean, I feel like everything that I've seen, whether it was a podcast or a write-up or something like that, it seems like so often it comes back to people for you. And I'm curious, what are some of the things that you've found to be the most empowering or the most impactful as far as like the way you've treated people or the way you've set up your businesses where they are comfortable like getting on that personal level with each other and love showing up for work?
Well, I don't know what particularly one thing it is. I feel like they genuinely know that I care. They can feel that because I do. I try to really invest the time in people. And most of that stems from the fact that I'm not particularly proud of most of the relationships I've had in my life. I don't think I was a good friend to some of the boys that I was friends with through my 20s and in my 30s. I don't think I was good friends to them. I don't think I was a good example for them. I don't think that I probably led them the best in their professional lives. I think I probably wasn't great to, I know I wasn't great to my family to try to raise. I was a hellion. I was obviously getting suspended, getting in trouble all the time. And so now I feel like it's the biggest thing for me to do is to see how much of that I can flip the script for like kind of my life.
Interesting. Like turn that into a positive thing.
You know, again, one of those things, like I learned so much from doing a poor job at it that now the shit talking in me is like, you fucking suck at this so bad. And you're like, no, but you're going to be good at it.
Right. Watch this.
You're going to be good at it now. So I think just trying to emulate that fact that, you know, we do care. There is people in this world. There is good people. There is good things. We all can do good. We all can succeed. There is enough cake for everybody, like all those types of feelings, just trying to get that emotion into everybody and get people to feel like it isn't so bad to not be good sometimes, and it's great to be great. Yeah. But there's a balance between all of it.
Okay. It's so cool being able to talk to people when those are the kind of things that you can focus on, right? Where it's like you get to the point where it is culture, it is people, it's so many of the things that make the whole experience cool. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you have to do before you get to a point where it's culture. Like at some point, right at the beginning, it's like we just got to get scrappy and we got to make a little bit of money. So I'm curious. I really want to dive into like some of the scrappy phases with you, where things looked like sticky notes and things looked like you sent in a bunch of DMs and stuff like that. So tell me a little bit about like what allowed you to just start these projects, or what did actually starting look like from going from like sticky notes to actually starting TNS, starting Empyre? Like, how did you actually start to break into those things?
I like what kind of behaviors or just what ways?
Just, I guess more about like the story of what that looked like for you.
Yeah. I think I used to like when there was the lawn care, which the lawn care was after I moved back from Utah. So that was after taking it back off the shelf.
Okay.
Taking TS back off the shelf. I used to have in the notes tab in the phone, I had, 5 to 7, depending on like if I had a sale or a promo I was trying to run or whatever, 5 to 7 messages that I could fill in like 4 to 6 blanks in there and make it personalized.
Okay.
And I would send, 300 to 500 of those a day usually on IG. And it was super easy to do them because, you got, 3 to 5 minutes between lawns.
Right.
Sometimes on most of the drives, and I could fire off, 30, 50, 90 of those things. And
so you've got t-shirts available. You've got some designs that are out, and it's like, what's up? I like your blah, blah, blah. Go check this out.
Yeah, just messaging as many people as possible. But I didn't ever do it that way, how people are doing it. It was purely just, hey, man, or hey, what's up? Or hey, how's your day going? Whatever it was. like your profile, usually like tried to give them a compliment. And then I just wanted them to just check out my brand and give me some feedback. Like, hey, I just want you to check out my brand. Tell me what you think. Because it was not trying to get you to buy anything. I'm not trying to get to sell you anything. There's no sales process here. I just want organic feedback. And in turn, organic feedback got me a conversation with someone.
Right.
Like nobody opens the thing where it's like, use my code, you can buy this, da da da. And it's like, thanks so much. I'd love to talk to you more about things. Like,
yeah, and it's also not how human interaction works. Like there'd be no social situation where you'd walk up and be like, "Hi, here's a discount code," and then you just dip. Like,
yeah. Turn around, walk
seriously.
away. Yeah. So it got their wall down initially, I think, because it was like, I am gonna tell this dude what I think about this shit real quick.
Right.
Yeah, it looks pretty good, but I wouldn't buy the white tee.
Okay.
Cool, man. Like, white tee, what's about the white tee? Like, you don't like the design, or like you to prefer this one instead? And it's just like, cool. Now I got conversations going. So I'd have, like 30, 40, 50 conversations going, because you only get like a few people that respond to,
right.
What do we work off of? 1 to 3% closing in most industries.
Right.
So you'd get 1 to 3% back, So I'd have a few conversations with people, mow through those through the night, and then just start over the next day. That was really the biggest process and thing that I never really lost throughout trying to grow TS. Was just absolute guerrilla messaging.
Wow. I feel like so many people when they're
it was before they used to get. It was also before you'd get flagged doing it.
Fair. Yeah. Fair.
Now you can't do it,
True.
but that's because AI came into everything and ruined everything.
Well, I feel like so many people though feel a sense of shame or embarrassment, or like there's some level of like, I want to break out into the thing, but I'm not willing to put myself out there 300 to 500 times a day and just have people leave me on red.
I did door to door right out of college.
Okay.
That helped with getting told no.
Literal door slammed in your face.
Well, yeah, I worked for CenturyLink.
Okay.
Lots of doors slammed in my face.
Yeah.
We used to get people just walking out their door. They're like, hey, fuck you. I fucking hate CenturyLink. You're like, dude, I just sell it.
It's not my company, bro.
First of all, we don't work for CenturyLink. We work for a third party that just sells CenturyLink. I can't help you, but here's this customer service number that you call
right.
that.
Yeah. Tell them you're mad.
Well, we had like a line that would actually get you help. And so we just give that out to people.
Nice.
Like, I'm so sorry that you hate it.
Right.
Like, I've called so many times. Again, I don't actually work there. So, but that's where the no came from. But it's also being okay with the no is the shit talk thing. Because I already told myself no 400 times before you told me no. So I don't really care.
Right.
So you being like, no, that's not good enough, or no, I don't like your tea. Like, yeah, I didn't like it either. Dude. It's fine.
I don't even know why I designed that.
Yeah, I don't know why I sent it to you. I apologize.
Yeah.
So it's just, I already had told myself that it wasn't going to happen. It's not possible, but we're going to be the best and it's going to go right. So whatever you can tell me, I've already complimented myself to the highest level, and I've already shat on myself to the lowest level. So you can roll with any conversation that you want to bring back to me.
How did,
just so unhealthy to just talk about. And hopefully people that listen to this do not try to emulate that behavior, because it's not good. But I think the positive talk of telling yourself that you can be great and telling yourself you can accomplish anything and all that manifestation that comes from that is some of the best shit you can do.
For sure.
I do not encourage this shit talking side.
Right.
Of it. Unless the weight looks really heavy and it's early in the morning or something like that. Then
get the demons out.
Yeah, get the demons out. Get that shit up.
What I love about that approach that you took though is I think that yes, it was a good tactic to get like conversations going and get people involved and kind of like get them to care a little bit about the brand, because they're a tiny bit invested into like, I gave you a piece of advice and now I kind of want to see you win. But one of the other things that I love about it is you're actually like starting to meet the people that become part of your audience and are becoming part of your community. And I'm curious like what things you learned about the community and about the people that actually like cared about the business during those early times where you were getting like all of that feedback and having all those conversations.
Yeah, I learned that they were just super underrepresented, right? Like there had been so long that people had, and it's not to say that like we're some big emotional thing for a lot of people, but when we first started, for some people we really were. There was really people that had lost a job, that had gotten sick of getting no promotions because they felt like they were judged for them, that had been, we had this girl that was like a super fan for a while. I hope she still purchases her stuff. I honestly don't know. But she worked for some media agency and they edited her sleeves off.
Whoa.
Yeah, and they didn't tell her. And then it came like it was on a magazine or something. And she was like, that doesn't even fucking look like me.
Wow.
Like you literally changed my arms. And so, and they like had forgot her wedding ring on her hand and stuff like that. And she was like, and so like that stuff still was happening. Like corporate America still doesn't allow them in the workplace. Like for the most part, most restaurants and service industries do not allow you to have them visible if you work there. And so really initially we just learned that there was this massive group of people that felt underrepresented and thought that it was pretty cool that we were slamming two words together that previously hadn't been. And that was a lot of the reactions that they would like, huh, yeah, that's cool. You know, kind of just a weird, like, oh, I never would have put tattooed and successful together, but that's cool. And so it was just a lot of like organic, really cool conversations with people talking about whatever they were interested in, whatever their goals were in their life, and having those good conversations about, you know, growth and the opportunities you haven't or have been afforded because of tattoos and the people you've met in your life because of them. And, you know, tattoos are a story for most people.
For sure.
And the artists that do them have a million stories about the people they've met. And so between the two things of those, when you combine artists and then the artistry of it and all the stories of everybody, you can have so many conversations that can go places.
Absolutely. I'm curious if that's something, as you've scaled the community and obviously the brand's doing well and all of that stuff, is that something that you've been able to hold on to or get from different places now that the brand's bigger? Is having all those conversations with the audience?
Yeah. So now I feel like I don't have them. Right.
Interesting.
Well, not as me personally. Like I have them at the social events we have, but I'm not on our IG.
You're not pounding 300 messages a day. Yeah.
I'm not on our IG having the conversations. Like that's what Mac does. She does extremely well for us. She does socials for both businesses and she's amazing at it. She's been with me for like over 4 years now, done different roles for me. So I don't get to have those conversations anymore. Those are like some of the parts that I miss.
Yeah.
Like I miss sometimes the packing the orders. I miss a lot of the little things that you get to do, but they're the roles like we talked about that like I'm sure there's some shit at yours that you're not going to waste whatever it is doing editing long form because you have so much you need to edit the short form.
Right.
And that's more kind of your wheelhouse for the IG and you're more kind of probably managing your IG account and that's your channel for the pod and the YouTube full is somebody else's job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all have kind of our hats we wear. And so I guess it's just kind of gotten away from some of those things, but I'd love to have more of the conversations with people. I'd love to have the pod again and have just like customers on. I think that'd be cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it'd be cool to do like, we were talking about at least trying to get a pod set up for the block party and do like a live pod the entire time.
That would be so cool.
And just like keep getting different like people on it that are there like, hey, you're coming with me. We're going on the pod for like 15 minutes. Just talk about some stuff.
That would be so cool.
And just like make it a live event, but then also full, like record the whole thing. And then we can cut clips of every person that was on it too.
What a cool way to make people feel like a special part of that community. And like you said, you giving them a voice through the merch that you put out, but also like truly give them a voice and share that on your platform.
Like somebody that buys something, got a tattoo at the event, is standing out back eating. And you're like, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm just like a veterinary tech over at this place. You're like, come up on this real quick. I just want to ask you a couple questions.
Absolutely.
Like, how'd you hear about the brand? Like, what inspired you to want to come to the event today? What was your favorite part of the event? You know, what was your first tattoo? Just have these kind of like really normal conversations with people and just see what we could get. I think it'd be cool.
For sure. Are there any parts of the business that are like that you're super passionate about, that you've been super protective of, that it's like, no matter how big this gets, I'm going to make sure that I can still do this?
Probably design. I don't know if that'll ever just like let like a full-time designer just design all of our stuff. I'll probably want to still have my hands on it at some level. That's probably the biggest one from like a merchandising standpoint is I still want to be a part of that. I think we'll get to a point where we'll have a designer. Obviously you can't, usually the guy running it can't be the one that's designing at some point because it's tedious as shit. It's also just like kind of just nagging the whole time at something. It's frustrating. But I think that's probably the one that I'll want to still have the most hand in just because it's what we look like, right?
Right.
And any sort of stuff with branding or any sort of stuff with how we're going to be communicating to our employees, like how we're going to handle interview processes, how we're going to handle promotions, that type of stuff, and how we're going to be, how we're going to pay out structure for our trainers, how we're going to do that type of stuff. Because that's really the things that I feel like can really morph a culture really quickly.
Absolutely. I'm really curious about one thing that I heard on a podcast that you were talking about earlier, and it had a lot to do with the fact that, like, as the company grows and as you've got people who are like, you know, coming into the culture, you've got trainers who are like, you know, I know one personally, Grace Taylor, who's married to my buddy DJ, she's crushing it. She
100 sessions this month.
Holy cow. But I mean, it was so cool though to see her transformation of going from being in law enforcement and having gone down that whole thing. I remember I had dinner with her and DJ at the Reef, and she was talking about, like, I really love doing this personal training thing, and I'm thinking about just going all in on it. Yeah. And it's so cool being able to see that as your community expands, like from your audience and your team, that these stories are like starting to come in where like other people's dreams are starting to fit into your dream. And I'm curious for you, like, how do you manage that where you have people who are starting to, like, their dreams have to be able to fit inside of yours? Like TS has to get big enough where people can succeed within that, or Empyre has to get big enough where people can succeed. Is there any part of that that feels like a responsibility for you, or like a weight to carry, I guess, as an owner?
Yeah, 1,000%. Like, obviously, if the checks don't clear, it's always your responsibility, right? That's the end of the day. That's every business owner's biggest fear, right? Is having not a positive cash flow time where the checks don't clear. Mm-hmm. So obviously you're always feeling the responsibility, and that's not something we have to worry about at this time, thankfully. But I don't think the responsibility or that care ever goes away. But like I said, there's no possible role or task that's going to place more responsibility or care on anything than I'm going to put on myself.
Right.
So, like, I always feel that if anybody messes up, even if it's the front desk and I've been out of town for 10 days, that's on me. Because there's something we didn't do somewhere that caused that to happen. So what conversations did we have or not have that can change those things, though, that we don't have those things happen again? But watching people's dreams flourish, being able to say that we've had 3 of the highest paid trainers in the last 18 months. I'm confident saying that we've had the 3 highest paid trainers in the last 18 months in the state of Idaho. Like, I'm super confident saying that because I know that their commission structure, I know how many sessions they do, and I know how much they charge, and I know nobody else does. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go ask other gyms how much their trainers make. That's a responsibility that I want to enlarge. I want to be responsible for more people having 6-figure years. I want to feel more responsible for all those people trying to, the cool part, the watching your employees like pick up a new car, or be like, I'm going to go apply for this new place because I can afford it. And you're like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's some of the most rewarding shit you can get. Obviously, you want to see people consuming what you produce, like the members and customers enjoying stuff, but the responsibility of your employees is obviously of the highest one. But like I said, I don't think any responsibility of a role is ever bigger than the responsibility I put on myself.
Absolutely. I've heard you talk before about people essentially like walking the walk when it comes to representing their business. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important because at the end of the day, it's really hard to dissociate your personal brand from the brands that you're responsible for, TS and for Empyre. And I'm curious for you, like, what value do you see in like essentially the life that you're living, representing also TS, representing Empyre, and like having essentially you be a figurehead for the kind of communities that you're trying to create?
Yeah. What responsibility is that?
No, I guess how important do you think it is for somebody who's in your position to like to walk the walk and like represent those?
Yeah, I think it's extremely important. It's one of the reasons that I don't have to be at the office all the time, but I feel like it's better when I am, right? If I'm there more often, the solid figurehead of people that is calling shots, people feel better when the person that told them what to do is still also there when they're doing what they've been told to do. It's a better, when your parents are like, hey, fucking clean that up, and then they just leave the room, and you're like, right, I don't want to. But if they're like, clean it up, and they stand there, you're like, all right, fine, you can talk about something else while you do it, It all goes back to that. People feel better when you're around. But within the business, just, again, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I always just place more kind of responsibility on myself. So, yeah, I've always thought about, I need to have some sort of image or likeness that I maintain of some level. But at the same point, I still want to feel like myself and not feel like I'm operating something that isn't organic.
For sure.
But it's the biggest thing, and this is something that you do extremely well, is you do a really good job of telling your story, obviously, because you're a media agency at your core, but also your own podcast too. Whereas like I'm still not at a place where I'm good enough at telling my own story, but I'm still trying to emulate it, even though I may not be showing it on social media. If you ran into me, you're going to still feel that like I looked the part for owning a gym. I looked the part for owning a tattooed brand. Like, but it's just about getting that part online more efficiently now.
Yeah.
More than ever.
I think too,
and that's just, it's partly difficult for me from like a just uncomfortable standpoint, and also just time and resources.
For sure.
It's both.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too, that like, not only do you have to represent it in like the way that you interact with people and stuff like that, but I mean, you're in industries where people are kind of like riding on what you say, like the stuff that you put out, the messages that you put out on your merch, people are already bought in. So you kind of have to represent them. Yeah. But also I think that, especially in the gym space, there's so much to keep up on in the fitness space, from equipment to, obviously Hyrox has popped off in the last, couple months. So you have to respond to that. Yeah. But, talk to me a little bit about like the education piece and staying up to date, like on an industry perspective, and like doing your people and your communities right on that standpoint.
Yeah, the nice thing from the industry standpoint of Tattooing Successful is I have buddies that are high-level artists, so I get the updates within, like, everything from this artist to this merch company to this is what artists are getting offered when they're at shows, and that kind of all translates down to how you work with influencers and all that type of stuff. So we kind of get plugged within, like, the tattoo culture. And then from a branding perspective, it's just about staying aware, watching what other people are doing. I feel like people really think when they start a business that they need to come up with a new way to do something. Mm-hmm. And everything's already been done for the most part in how you do things.
Right.
So you're not going to just reinvent something. And people spend so much time, I feel like, just racking their brain on trying to come up with something new, when you can find something that's working for something and modified it towards you and maybe improve upon it.
Right.
And save yourself a whole shit ton of time of establishing some new system or process or whatever. Mm-hmm. So between all those things, I kind of think that that's the most important ones. But I don't know. It's kind of difficult to have the roles within the business, to work on the business, tell the story about the business, look like the business.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then also like probably have a to-do list that you need to get done.
True.
Right. So I was always like, my dad always told me growing up, there's like working on the business, there's like working in the business, and then there's like, if it's kind of a singular business, it's you are the business too.
Right.
And so there's like wearing all those hats at what times and understanding all that, and something that you also understand.
Very difficult for sure.
It's weird. It's also just like, how did I get here again?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what am I supposed to be doing right now? And just some of those days where you're just a little dazed and confused and what the fuck are we doing?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things about podcasting as a general like format for conversation. Is it's so easy. And I know I was a kind of a sucker for it. Is I looked up to so many entrepreneurs and I was like, they must have everything figured out. Yeah. Like they're saying all the right shit. It looks like they're doing all the right stuff. Their business is successful and all these things. And I had this perception that when you had a successful business, it meant that you had everything figured out. And I think it's so cool. And to me, I think it's inspiring to think that not a single person who has been successful, maybe not a single person, most people who are successful, it's very rare that it's because they had like one super special thing about them.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's like they just tried long enough and were willing to fuck a lot of things up and continue to do that.
Yeah. It's just realizing that you're not very good at things. Probably in all actuality.
And being okay with it.
And being okay with that. And then just being like, well, if I could get a little bit better though.
Right.
What do we got?
Yeah.
Where are we at now?
For sure.
And so that whole thing that like people don't understand, like if you get 1% better at something over a period of time, like it does build into something. And people give up way too early and way too often right before they're about to get to something. And it's just because they're not comfortable being bad at it.
Have you seen that picture of the
digging one?
The gold, the diamond miner?
Yeah.
Dude, that one gets me so many times.
Yeah, you're like, it's the that's the thing where you're like, no, you just want to fucking keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where that voice starts to come in. It's like, yeah, but you might be knocking on it right now. It's right there.
If you could just
seriously.
right through.
What kind of advice would you have for somebody who might have a creative venture that's pulling at them, or something that they're thinking about taking that first step, but they just haven't yet, or they just took that first step, but things are getting tricky? What would you tell them during those first kind of phases?
Hit us up so we can help you with your brand. No, that's one of the things we started doing at TNS is actually helping other people start their brands. Okay. I feel like we can get into that after, but figure out how you're comfortable failing. Like whether it's, some people like to fail by actually doing the things. Some people like to fail by, writing it out over and over until they feel like it, or building a business plan, or, whether you're visual or an auditory or whatever. I feel like vlogging things is really helpful to talk through situations and things like that. So getting used to or getting comfortable with however you feel like failing looks like to you.
Whoa.
And then repeating that process until you get something that's gold or something that's minor gold.
That's such a cool perspective, because I think most people are told, like, find a way to win.
Yeah, no, it's find a way to fail and be comfortable with it, because that's where you're going to figure out what you're doing. It's this whole, what we're getting taught about, everything that we see online looks so easy and like that just came overnight, and just even like, what's this football player right now that's gone viral because his fucking stupid morning routine, Ashton Hall or whatever?
Oh no.
Have you seen that shit? He like
this morning.
Seen it? Yeah. He like puts his face in like, first of all, it's like $6 water. He like pours it, and some girl is like handing him everything. And he's like the most jacked dude. Pat McAfee brought it up on his show like first thing the other day. It was like, did you guys see this guy? So it's about like, he obviously has some sort of process he figured out he got comfortable with producing this sort of content, failing miserably at it, and then it eventually sticks, right? His shit probably looks stupid to most people until it didn't. The same thing you have to get comfortable with, of just, this may look stupid to me, it may look stupid elsewhere, but if I just keep at it, keep going, and realize the little diamond digging thing, I probably can find something at some point. Is it now? Is it a different thing? I don't know. But the failure will teach you much more than this whole online thing where you just think that he did not just wake up, look like that, make that video, and it go viral.
Right.
And that's what I feel like people think. They just think like, today, I'm going to be it. And it's like, no, you weren't it this morning. You weren't it yesterday. You're not it. Just keep working at stuff. It'll eventually grow into something that you'll be decently enough proud of, that you can feel like you'll show other people, and maybe you can get some insight back and morph it into something that's better, that now you want to show more people.
Yeah.
But I feel like because we're such a, what do they call it? Like first need, or
like instant gratification.
Instant gratification. Yeah. Because we're such instant gratification now, and COVID made that fucking 1,000 times worse. People think that you can just like strike gold.
Right. Like, yeah. That you're one video away from making it.
Yeah. TNS just like did good one day, and you were just like, yeah, let's go with it. And I was like, yeah, it just,
yeah.
And people love it still. I was like, no.
And then a contractor came over and built the building in an afternoon. Yeah. And then we hired all the people on the same day and trained them all. And
yeah. It was great.
Yeah.
Air conditioning always works. Like, nothing goes wrong here. It's just that whole conception. And obviously I just said COVID made it worse, but we enabled people to stay at home, get everything they wanted, told them they were going to be okay, and financially compensated them for it. And then we wondered why people came back to the workplace and think that things don't go their way, and they're just like, oh, I'm out.
Yeah.
There's so many people just quitting now because they're not getting what they want, when we got told we could get what we want. So I think that's a big thing within it, but it's just get comfortable with not being good at things until you feel comfortable enough with something that you're proud of it enough to show other people, I feel like.
Yeah. One of my favorite ideas is you're 5 years of consistent effort away from somebody saying that you got lucky.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It is. It's true, because everybody that hasn't done it thinks you did it overnight. And everybody that's done it is like, it's pretty good, but you probably could do something more.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
You're like, fuck, you're right. I already thought that. I don't really like it either.
Yeah. You know what I love about that though is there is that sense of like camaraderie, kind of like in sports too. Like if you meet another dude who played college sports, like I kind of know on a baseline the things that you went through.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really cool about, and I don't even think it's just business owners. I think it's people who are painters, who are tattooers, who are anybody who like set out to do their own creative thing and like make their own way. I think that there's such a respect and such a like baseline level of camaraderie between people who are willing to just go out there and take their passion or something that they care about and just go and do it. And that's one of my favorite things to see about people is that electric energy where you get on that topic about that thing that they really care about, and you can see it in their eyes immediately. Like their shoulders drop, they light up, and you can tell that they care about this thing. Yeah. I think that's one of the most magnetic things about any person that they could have. And I love that by nature of you being willing to go in on your dreams, it puts you in a place where you can have that level of conversation with somebody else who's like also done amazing things. Yeah. It's been cool to do. I don't know if you've seen, I started doing like a little bit of mentorship. Mm-hmm. So I have like, depending on the month and their own finances, et cetera, and just time schedule, I'm usually meeting with like 3 to 5 people multiple times a month. Okay. Business, personal, finance, whatever we're working on. Finding those little trinkets of things like you're talking about that they're like about, whether it's their kids or a sport or a part within their business or their partner or whatever it is. And you're like, there it is. That's it's the Leo thing. And you're like, no, go back to that. Yeah. You're like, okay, that's now your phone background. That's now the name of your list, of your to-do list. That's now the name of all the important events in your calendar or whatever that is called list. Right. So that your motivation stays on whatever that was that lit you up, because right now we're struggling. That worked. And it's the same thing with failing. That's the same principle I was talking about failing over and over again until you find something that just lights a little bit. And you're like, let's go with that until that morphs into something that we like a little bit more. Yeah. Or it fails and it taught me X, Y, and Z about what I do like. And now we put that into something else. Mm-hmm. That's why I think that aligning to a goal or a vision that you truly like inherently care about is one of the most important things, because a failure doesn't have to feel like a failure. It can feel like, okay, well, I got that out of the way, that I know that isn't the way that I'm going to make this vision. Right. And so you've got this like this light at the end of the tunnel that keeps on pulling you towards something where all of the failures aren't you suck, you're not going the right direction, you're not this and that. It's just that like I've learned these lessons that are going to be part of the story once I accomplish this thing. Yeah. Once I figure out what the task is that's best for me. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think it sounds like for me, like as we've been talking, it seems like entrepreneurship and essentially just creating cool shit has been one of the best tools for like self-development for you. Yeah. As far as like you were talking earlier about, I've had a lot of mistakes that I made or a lot of things that I would have changed, but now I get to use my platform to like positively impact other people's lives, given the things that I've done. I'm curious for you how business has made you a better person, or like encouraged you to do things like therapy or whatever else that has made you get better. It's definitely taught me a lot about myself. It puts you in situations that you otherwise probably wouldn't put yourself in, right? Mm. The feast or famine that every business owner feels. Every business owner, even if they've got millions in the bank, still feels that feast or famine, because if it's going bad, you feel every ounce of it. And if it's going good, you feel probably zero of it. Yeah, it's like this was supposed to happen. Yeah. We set out to do this. Yeah, we fucking should have done this 4 months ago. Box checked, yeah. Yeah. So I feel like sitting in both of those things is equally as important, though, for the most part. But I guess when it comes back to like the business and kind of working through it and finding out the processes that you like, I don't know. I guess, how would you phrase it for yours? I think business has forced me to grow in a lot of ways. Yeah. Because it gives me somebody besides myself to show up for. I have to learn people's love languages. I have to learn how to be a good leader on days that I don't feel like leading. I think that has put me in a lot of situations where people count on me, and I have to show up in times where maybe I wouldn't have showed up for myself. Yeah. I would have let that's what I was saying. The biggest thing for me, I think, with it is just that you put yourself in situations that you otherwise wouldn't. Right. And what growth you get out of that is kind of unmeasurable, right? For sure.
because you never know what you're going to get out of something that you otherwise would not do.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the whole failure thing.
That's huge. Say that again. You never realize the things until you put yourself in a situation that you wouldn't.
You never realize what you could get out of, or what you could get out of something before you put yourself in it.
Yeah.
Because we always we really think we have it figured out. Like, for the most part, when we walk through our lives, I have the negative self-talk, but like, I don't wonder how I'm going to get through the day or whatnot. Like, I'm pretty confident that I can make it here by 2:30 and eat, drink, and like communicate my day. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's about, we have these confidences, but can we show up to situations that we otherwise wouldn't have confidence in, because it's our direct responsibility and it has a direct relation to the livelihood of people that are depending on this to succeed.
For sure.
And so I think that's the part, is like, I did have a mentality that if it was overly difficult, that I could leave. I quit. Obviously, I transferred a lot of schools in elementary school. Only went to one high school, but went to 5 colleges. Worked a lot of jobs in my 20s, mostly on my own accord, not usually leaving in the best senses or situations. And so I did have kind of a mode in me to stay away from situations that could be otherwise difficult. So I think putting myself in situations that I otherwise wouldn't, making myself do content that I wouldn't want to do, go to therapy to have conversations about shit that I need to work on at work and in my personal life as well. All those kind of situations that you otherwise wouldn't put yourself in. I think that's the utmost growth you can get.
Yeah.
People do one kind of workout, right? Like, I do chest on Mondays. I do this on this day, whatever it might be. Yeah, because that's what you're comfortable with. But comfort doesn't necessarily create any sort of change within a business.
True.
Now, comfort may be great for the gym and for like building a physique and all that stuff. But for creating change, creating growth, and creating a community, which was our goal, putting yourself in the same situations is not going to build something different.
Right. So. Yeah. You mentioned therapy, and that's been something that's been super present for me lately, because I was the constant male thing that you see all the time, where I was like, I'm just going to take this and shove it as far back into the closet as I can, and I'm going to keep on pushing and all that stuff. And long story short, I started going towards the end of last year, because me doing that, I was like, it made me show up as like 70% of myself in a lot of things, right? Like I felt like I had a very finite amount of energy, finite amount of like attention that I could give things. And so I was showing up like 70% of my relationship, and I was kind of checking in.
Tabs were open.
Yeah, tabs were open everywhere. And I was like just checking in on my business. I was just checking in with my friends. And I felt like I wasn't being good. I wasn't being a good partner. I wasn't being a good friend. I wasn't being particularly good business owner, and all of these different things. And all of that boiled over to a point where the relationship that I was in ended, and a lot of things came to the forefront where I was like, yeah, bro, it's because you're not being the best version of yourself. You're not doing all these things. So I remember I had a conversation with my mom, and I told her, I was like, all this shit just blew up in my face. It's all directly because of me. Like, I have nobody to point at. And
feels good.
Yeah. And I could feel how close everything was to going to shit, though. Like I understood for one of the first times that when you see the homeless guy who like truly did just have a couple bad breaks, or he had 10K left in the bank, and then something bad happened, he went and got a DUI, and now he's at 0, and now he spent some time in jail, and now he's on the street. Like, I was like, it is that close. Like, I could go and get drunk, and somebody said something to me, I hit them, and they hit their head on the pavement, and now I'm in jail for, all of that stuff is that close. But I also realized at that time that if that stuff is that close, then all of the good things have to be that close too. So that's why I decided to start going to therapy. Is I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be helpful or not, but I want to set up as many guardrails and as many like positive influences as I can. And it turned out to be one of the best things I ever did.
Same therapist still?
Same therapist. It was the first one I ever saw.
Good for you.
And yeah,
that's a rarity.
What I love about her is she's very like forward thinking.
Cool.
The thing that I didn't like about the idea of therapy is I felt like I've spent enough time thinking about the problems and like living in the bad stuff already. I don't want to just go back and revisit that and have somebody be like, here's why you should hate how you were raised, and here's how all this stuff.
Classic therapy.
Yeah. So it's been very helpful for me figuring out like what are the things that I can do to like reach the vision that I have for myself, for my business, for how I want to show up as a friend and stuff. And it's very positively impacted my business and everything else I'm working on. But I'm curious for you, what was like the impetus that was like, all right, I'm going to go. And then what were the benefits that you started to see afterwards?
Yeah. Well, therapy's kind of been a different road for me.
Okay.
I was in it really young. So I got put in therapy really young because the fighting and...
So not the same one the whole time?
Yeah, no. And the depressive issues and stuff like that. So I really viewed therapy as like a suggestion from the parents and more of like going to the doctor for a long time because you went as a kid.
You're just supposed to go.
Yeah. And then in college, I went a little bit, mostly for like sports performance stuff, just anxiety, struggling with that. Struggled with depression and anxiety all through college, was medicated on and off all of my adolescence for depression and anxiety. And then when it got to kind of being an adult, then it felt time to like be a man and not go, right? You know, my father is not super anti, but pretty anti mental health therapy type of thing.
Classic male figure, like just be tough. And
he's not like be tough. He just doesn't understand why it's necessary.
Got it. Okay.
I don't think he wants to talk about anything. I don't think he needs to.
Okay.
I don't think we're cracking that one at
Right.
this point.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I think that egg's hard boiled.
Yeah.
So it kind of morphed into a little bit of a different situation for me in my early 20s. And then I think I got back into it probably right after my divorce was when I started going again. Okay. So like 2017, 18, 19, 20, went through a bunch of different therapists. And therapy has always been like a little bit seasonal to me. I've struggled to find somebody where I can have it for longer than 6 to 8 months. And then I typically go 6 to 8 months without one again and then find another one.
Gotcha.
It's pretty much what I've done for the last I guess my son is now 6.5, so 6.5 years.
Okay.
At one point I was really doing poorly mentally and I was going 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay.
When I lived in Utah. So I've been in very intense therapy situations.
Right.
Was really struggling with some stuff. And then I've been in where I was going once a month. So therapy has been so many different things for me, purely from just how much I'm going and who I'm seeing.
Right.
But the act of it and the expressive part of it has never really changed on what it's been for me. It's always been caused me again to be in a situation that I don't want to be in, talking about shit that I don't want to talk about. So I know that there's growth coming from it. I know I've always gotten something out of it. Even when I felt like shit after it, I've gotten something out of it. I'm sure us talking about it today, when I saw the question in the prompt about therapy, I was like, I know this is going to make me think about it. I'll probably want to start going again. I haven't talked about it recently, so I probably should go. It's just one of those things that it's difficult to have conversations with people about weird shit that you just had never truly struggled with. I have some deep, dark demons that do fucked up shit to me. And like I said, I'm so self-sabotaging and do that type of stuff to me. And that's a lot of what I have to work on therapy. Mm-hmm. A lot of childhood stuff from being bullied so much, fighting so much, feeling like I had to prove myself, feeling like all those inadequacies I had to overcome and all those things. Yeah. So that's where I've spent most of my time within therapy. But it's been benefits are fucking obviously endless. It gives you, it's a superpower, right? Like it gives you something else. It's another tool in your tool shed for working through the days of life. It's a lot of things that you learn in it. I feel like I've been able to apply for other people in your life. Yeah. Right? Like the tool.
Yeah. They don't talk about that. You become a better resource for yourself, but you also become a better resource for other people.
It almost feels like it's better for other people than yourself.
Yeah. Like, yeah. It's just like advice. Me. Yeah. It's like, I don't listen to this advice, but I'm giving it to you.
This is fucking great. Haven't done it yet, but you should try it. Yeah. So I definitely agree with that. You definitely, but at the same time, like the only reason you're able to offer that advice is because you went to a situation that you otherwise wouldn't have put yourself in, and it taught something about you. Probably. Whether you do it or not is another thing.
Right.
But it still taught you something about yourself. And so it goes back to that whole principle about putting yourself in as many uncomfortable situations as possible, because that's where you grow.
Dude, I think that's
why you play golf.
I think that's going to be one of my biggest takeaways from this conversation, man. Is I've never heard it put that way. Is that the more times that you put yourself in a situation that you otherwise wouldn't have been, the more growth that you're going to have.
Yeah. So like, what's your like, I hate doing this thing. Like, even like, is there like a
leg day?
Yeah,
I'm just
fucking
legs.
legs.
I actually,
Facts.
yeah, I started running to the gym lately too. So leg day is even more like, fuck.
I hate running.
But no, I think one of the things that I really hate doing, honestly, it is something that I used to love doing, is being behind the camera.
Oh, recording.
Yeah. So I used to, I mean, I started my media agency with an iPhone, and then it grew to having to have professional stuff. And then I had to learn how to shoot and all that. And it was really fun for a long time. But now it's, there's something about it where I'm just like, I'll show up and direct, but if I have to get behind the camera, there's something about it that maybe feels like it's like dragging me back to those starting days that were very uncomfortable, and like there's a lot of growth happening, but it was really hard. And so, yeah, I can't stand it.
You should try to figure out something that you can record like every 2 weeks, whether it's like nature or find cool cars, or find like a style of videography that you just want to shoot, like short form videos of like rustic areas you find or something, so you can like just make yourself a little bit uncomfortable within it.
And I think it's important too, because I've noticed that, you know, there are cameras and lights in this room, and our producer is behind the all these cameras right now. But Rowan was, you know, he's been with us since October, and I've been able to see his growth. And like, there are times now where I used to know all of the latest things in Premiere and in editing and all of this stuff, and now even some of that terminology and stuff I'm like behind on. And so it does directly affect my ability to give, like, articulate what I want to see in a video, or like give good ideas or give good direction on stuff. So I think it is important. It's just being uncomfortable.
It's one of those weird things. Like, I do a lot of ice baths. I love them, but obviously there's therapeutic benefits, anti-inflammatory reasons for endless stuff. And you do feel better every time.
I love them.
But it's the biggest reward that people sometimes gets overlooked is you just did something that your body significantly does not want to do. And the euphoria that you get from that after is amazing. And some people don't lean into that enough, and don't lean into the fact that like, I don't want to do this, I'm going to do this. I don't want to do this, I'm going to do this. I don't want to do this, I'm going to do this. And what you do after you've told yourself that for 3 to 7 minutes, however long you choose to stay in.
Right.
It's wild. It's wild what it does. But if you spend the whole time in this negative, you'll watch people do them, and I'll have friends that do them, and the friends that, you know, don't feel good about themselves, are in a negative headspace. They get out and they're like, it's the worst fucking thing. I'm never doing that again. I'm like, yeah, if you frame it like that.
For sure. Yeah.
Bet it is.
For sure.
I can make the best food on earth taste like shit if I talk to you enough about it.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's how you frame it. It's how you walk into it, knowing that it's a situation that you otherwise wouldn't do. Psychologically, your brain is like, what are you doing? And you're still like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Then when you get out, you're like, haha.
For sure.
We did it. It's that whole aha thing again, where people don't understand that, like, that's what you get out of it.
Right. I think that's honestly why 75 Hard has caught on so much. Yeah. Is because that little win that you're talking about with ice baths, I think that's what people, whether they know it or not, are getting from 75 Hard is there's 6 wins that every day is going to be baked into what you do, right? Where it's like, maybe you don't typically drink the water. You don't typically not drink alcohol. You don't, like, whatever those things are. And every time that you say no to junk food, that's a win where you walk away being like, hell yeah. Yeah. McDonald's did not win today. Yeah. Or every time.
It's one of the parts I like. McConaughey talks about it in a couple different things. I don't know that he talks about it in Green Lights, but he talks about that, like, he puts taking a shit on his calendar. Yeah. He puts everything he does on his calendar, because he's like, when you check shit off, he's like, it has that little subconscious, like, yeah, little high fives, little pats on the back, little things that you just otherwise would be like, of course I went to the bathroom. It's fucking obvious. But we don't nobody's here telling us like, good job. And so you have to figure out ways to tell yourself good job, because you have to fail to do good. And if you fail constantly and tell yourself bad job and don't give yourself any measuring sticks, you're just like,
then what would I try for? Yeah.
I'm a depressed, sad human.
Exactly. Last thing before we get into some of like our rapid fire questions and stuff like that, but that was one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about was Matthew McConaughey and Green Lights and all that stuff. I tried to consume every podcast. I'd listen to Green Lights a handful of times and stuff like that when I started leaning back into therapy and some of those things, because what I love about his message is it's almost the exact opposite from what my tendencies are. Like my tendencies are put your head down, super negative self-talk, grind your way through everything, like just try and push things out and just go. And what I love about his message is it's very centered around being a human and like trying to just be the best person you can. So I'm curious why it resonates, why his message resonates with you.
Because it's someone that's achieved some of the highest levels of success in various ways, right? Like he's had the movie success, he's had book success, he's had now relationship success with kids and his wife and nonprofit. He's done all this stuff, but he's the only one really willing to tell you like a normal ass story about it. Right? Like it just feels, it's the only book thing I've really read where it just feels like his walls are down. Right. It doesn't seem too cool. It doesn't seem too far-fetched. It doesn't seem like anything of it's exaggerated. It just feels like this real story. And there's so many, do you have the book?
I don't have the, actually, yeah, I do have the physical copy, but I haven't like actually gone through and highlighted it. Yeah.
Have you seen how there's like little shit in it everywhere? Like
yeah.
These little like
little prescriptions and stuff like that.
Like all sorts of like, I never read a book like that. Not from somebody that's that successful.
Right.
It's going to be professional looking. It's going to be all these things. Even Hermosi, who's in a tank top in half his videos with a nose strip on, like his book. Yeah. It's a book.
Yeah.
Right. And he does have little things in it, but not like McConaughey's. McConaughey's is so, looks like a, I don't know, 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid made it.
Right. Just like very raw.
Very raw. And so I think that's what allows me to take my walls down, because it's so raw. And then I can then apply them, a line from it, something. And at the very least, it's such a good story.
Yeah.
Just listening to him talk about things, whether you're listening or reading it, that it makes you feel better. It makes you feel like you're not alone. It makes you feel like there's other people struggling with weird shit, whether it's the same weird shit you got or something else. But I don't know. It's just always been, and I hate fucking reading.
Right.
And so that book is one of the only ones that's ever stuck with me.
Wow.
I ever truly have enjoyed. And I probably listened to it 10, 15 times, and I've only actually physically read it once.
Okay.
I just don't read.
Yeah. It is tricky. One of my favorite quotes about books.
But I look through it, like I'll listen to it and then find that spot and like the little thing in it. And
so you can like bake it in a little bit. Yeah. I love the idea that when we buy books, we think that we're buying the time to read them.
Yeah.
It's like, it kills me. So a couple of things before we get out of here. One of my favorite questions to ask is advice for your younger self.
Yeah.
So how old are you now?
34.
So if you had to go to, let's say 22-year-old you, so getting close to graduating college and jumping into some things, what's a piece of advice that you'd have for him, whether he'd listen or not?
Well, he wouldn't, probably.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't listen to me. Probably that it always is going to get harder before it gets easier and you get more comfortable with it. I think I could have had earlier success in my life had I not walked away from so many things because I felt like I had the better idea. I felt like there's a lot of lessons that I left on the table and a lot of opportunities I left on the table because I was seeking something greater without fully finishing what I was in. So it'd probably be to like get comfortable being uncomfortable a little bit more and like sit in it a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about?
But I definitely probably wouldn't listen.
Yeah. Fair enough. What about advice that 60-year-old you, if you can put yourself in your shoes later, what piece of advice would he give you right now that maybe you need to hear?
Probably work less and enjoy your family a little bit more. I think I talk about my dad, being not around as much as I would have liked. And I only have my son every other weekend, Thursday through Monday. And I try to do a good job of getting home and stuff like that. And just, sometimes it doesn't happen like I want. But probably to slow down and enjoy those moments. They're kicking my ass right now in the feeling that he's growing up way too fast, and it's killing my little dad heart. It's obviously been cool with him getting older just because it's cooler for dads as they get older.
Yeah.
Like,
do more stuff with them.
Yeah. He thinks I'm cooler. Like,
right.
Not just mom all the time.
Right.
He is still a giant baby, but, so probably just to slow down, enjoy life and my family more because it goes away so quick.
For sure.
Going from 30 to 34 was like not a comfortable speed.
It happened real fast.
Yeah, real fast.
Yeah.
And he went from like what felt like a baby to like a little boy, what felt like overnight.
Dang.
It's weird. And so the combination of those two things kind of happening at the same time has made me, I feel it. Like last night I still play in that football league like I was telling you about. Last night we had practice. Got a little banged up at practice, and Beckham I usually try to put to bed between 8:30. My wife does a really good job putting him to bed. Mm-hmm. And I was at practice, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm not practicing right now. My knee's bothering me. Like, I'm going home. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to miss the end of practice. If they're mad, I apologize. But, like, last time I had him, I didn't get to put him to bed on Thursday. I get to put him to bed 4 nights every 2 weeks. I'm not willing to compromise missing that one.
Yeah.
So last night, left practice a little early, got home, walk in, tall ass kid in bluey sweat PJs sprinting towards me. Dad. And I'm like,
yeah.
That was the right decision. So that's probably the 6-year-old advice. And I've been really trying to tell myself that the last couple of weeks. So
yeah, that's huge, man. It's really hard to do. That's some of the hardest advice to take from yourself.
It's so hard. Like, obviously your kid matters more, and that's not a question ever. Mm-hmm. But like, I have work to do.
Right.
And I'm not where I want to be. This isn't where I want it to be. I have a new business I want to start. I have this other business I'm trying to start. Like, da.
Yeah.
But I also have a 6-year-old, and like, will things still be there in the morning to work on? Yes. But it's so hard sometimes when you're telling yourself, like, you're not going to be good enough, but you're going to be great, to just be like, I'm just going to ignore both of those things right now and go be like a dad.
It's one of the hardest things because, like, those intangible things that truly matter.
Yeah.
Being a good member of your family, whether it's a brother, a son, a dad, like whatever, that doesn't live on a to-do list.
Yeah,
but you can see all of the things people are asking you about, the stuff that you're supposed to send them. Yeah. They're asking you about all these things, and so it's easy to get. I mean, for me especially, that's so much of what I got caught up in is like, yeah, but instead of me cooking dinner with you for an hour and like bonding for the next hour, if you just cook and I work for an hour, then I'm gonna have more stuff on my to-do list done. Yeah, and then I'll have more time tomorrow. Yeah, but I never have more time tomorrow. Just more stuff keeps on going on that to-do list, and then when people notice, they're like, oh, you'll work that extra hour. Well, here's a couple extra things because I know you can get them done. Yeah. So it's, I feel you, man. I need to hear that too.
I had the opportunity last week. Was that last week or this week? Fuck. This week. It was Monday. Monday feels like last week on Friday. Yeah. Monday, I had dinner with my wife and I. We went over to my 95-year-old great aunt's house.
Wow.
And she made us dinner. She still lives by herself, cooks her own food. And my wife and I have never been over there for dinner, just us two. We've been married a year next weekend, but we've never been over there for dinner. We've obviously had lots of family dinners with her and holidays and birthdays and stuff like that, but never been over there. We didn't have my son either, and so we were just able to go over there and like hang out with her, and it was just different, right? It was probably the most slowed down I've felt in a long time. I tried to not be on my phone, and just, someone that's that much older than you and has seen that much stuff in your life, it makes you feel real different about what's really important.
For sure.
And so that, and then the stepping away last night to go see my son, like, I definitely feel like the last 2 weeks have been some better realizations of like time placement and importance in life and all those weird little things.
Absolutely.
Strange.
I'm definitely honored that you were willing to cut the time out of your schedule to do this.
No, dude, I was
got all that
stoked.
stuff
Yeah.
going on. So.
I'm not good at talking about stuff. I feel like I struggle with conversations. I want to do a pod like this eventually again. And so I thought it was a super great opportunity to come talk to you. And I love your content, love the short form, love the full form. It's
Thanks,
good, man. It's really well done.
I'm really excited. One last thing before we get you out of here for your weekend. I think on the outside, it's so easy. I think both of us have been there as business owners and as people to see success as being a very tangible thing.
Mm-hmm.
For people who have seen you and all the things that you've accomplished from the outside, what does success look like in your eyes?
Yeah. See, like, I don't feel very successful as much as that is. Obviously, of like a normal standard, I am successful. I have a loving family. I have a great kid. I have businesses. I have all those things. But for success for me is trying to find like that inner peace for me. So right now, I don't feel successful. I think success looks massively different for everybody. That's one thing that I've tried to get about the brand out there, is that we don't think it's a nice car and money and all this type of stuff. It's whatever you want it to be now, and define that however you like. So honestly, for me, it's been shifting more and more what success looks like to me. And I feel like success for me will be when I finally find like a little bit of peace within myself, with the workload, with the different hats, with all my interpersonal struggles, with relationships. When I find that a little bit more peace, I feel like then I'll feel a little bit more successful.
It's a beautiful thing to hear, man, because it's something that everybody can work on. And regardless of what point, I mean, you can be as broke as you've ever been, but be as successful as you've ever been if you're measuring it that way. So I think that's super inspiring, man. And I'm super inspired by the message that you have, and about your willingness to just do the damn thing, but also walk the walk and like leave a good example for people and bring in other people to your circle that do the same thing. So I think it's super cool what you built, man.
Trying to.
Heck yeah. So
thank you.
For everybody else who wants to get involved, become part of your communities and all the things, where can they find you and do all that?
Yeah, for me, it's all my handles are at Zach J. Pete for all mine. And then Tattooed and Successful Co., tattooandsuccessful.com, empyrefitness.com, and empire_fitness. So.
All right. Beautiful.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Well, you guys know where to go. We'll put it in the show notes. And like I said, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. This is fun.
Yeah, thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Be where your feet are. We love you.